Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you another couple prompts of the hashtag 31 days of jelly printing challenge from March 2018. That was a Instagram challenge from Birgit Koopson. This prompt was from day 25 and it is foam stamps, homemade foam stamps. It was specified to be homemade foam stamps. You can make your own foam stamps very easily, and they make a very soft mark making on your prints. Not as clear and crisp as a rubber stamp or a stencil or something like that. It's a much more soft effect. And you can make them out of a variety of materials. A lot of people use fun foam, which is something that you can find in a craft store, usually for kids. Very inexpensive. Sometimes it's sticky on the back, which makes it really easy to use. Sometimes it comes already cut, like in little stickers. And there is even fun foam out there that has texture to it that's already been pressed into it. Those are really fun. I have a few pieces you'll see in the video. Another way that you can make foam stamps to use on your gel plate for mark making is using styrofoam. And a lot of these ones that you're seeing, like the one you see right now that looks like a tree branch type of thing, is made out of styrofoam. I get my styrofoam from meat trays. Here in the United States, your meat comes on a styrofoam platter that's then shrink wrapped, and so that I just wash that stuff up real good and save it, and I use it for all kinds of things, but one thing is to use it with my gel plate. And I cut shapes out of it. You can score it with a stylus, things like that. You can also buy foam stamps. There's a company that makes ones called Foamies, which make a lot of interesting shapes that are already pre-formed for you out of some type of a firm black foam. And, um, you know, I've seen lots of different, back in the days of home decor when people were stamping on their walls, there was foam stamps, a lot of foam stamps out. So you might even have some in your arsenal. And so the other thing that I'm playing with that's new today in this particular video is the golden open paint. This is a I would say it's medium bodied acrylic that has something in it that forces it to not dry so quickly. And it should be something that's really great for me in Arizona because my paints dry very quickly, but I'm also really used to that. This right here is one of those pressed textured pieces. Got those in Happy Mail. I got several of them. So that's the fun foam that's textured. But anyway, back to gold and open paint. This is my first time playing with it. It's rare. It's kind of expensive. That's how come I haven't ever really purchased it before, because a little tiny bit of paint for a big money doesn't seem like something that I really need to have. But I will say that the pigments on it are gorgeous, particularly this red. I got a starter pack that has, red, yellow, blue, the primaries, and then a couple other colors and the titanium white. And beautiful, beautiful pigments. And that's what you're paying for when you get golden brand paint, because they have the highest quality artist pigments that there are. But this open paint is strange. I noticed a few things about it. One thing I noticed is that you can get ghost prints, lots of ghost prints, because the paint is remaining on the plate a lot more than it normally does for me. Now remember, we need to talk about climate. If you live in a very humid area, you probably get a lot of ghost prints because your paint doesn't dry as quick. Where I live, where it's very dry, I live in a desert, my paint dries very quickly, and because the gel plate is designed to release media, if there's dried media on there, it comes up with the next layer. So I don't get a whole bunch of ghost prints where I live in Arizona. But with this paint, I did. The paint stayed down, and I could get another print and even sometimes a third print, which is probably why people who gel print love this paint. I've been told it's the best thing. It's it's what you should have. And I've just never really believed it. I'm such a skeptic. I just don't believe stuff until I try it myself. But the other thing that I noticed is that once the golden open paint dries on the plate, which it will eventually because in my climate everything dries, then it's much harder to get off the plate. So that's kind of strange. It's sticky. I even noticed when I got some on my hands, you know, as you do, um, it's just feels sticky. So it's different. And I have these tubes now, so I'll be playing with it a lot more and finding out more about it. But this was my first try with it because I had just ordered it from Amazon. And I'll put the link in the description box below. So if you want to try some too, you might really think it is the best thing you've ever tried on your gel plate. I don't know. But I'm pretty happy with my medium grade Liquitex Basics because I'm just used to it, you know? So this is my 12 by 12 plate, and the reason that I got this one is because I can do little sections of things. I can do a whole 8.5 by 11 all the way to the edges, which is what I wanted, but I also like it because I can make just sections of it colored so easily. I don't have to worry about having a tiny plate that might not fit something, but I can just do like a section of the plate. And so like when I'm doing these little tags and things, I just like being able to try something out in just one corner and seeing what happens. So this is where I'm like trying to pick up all the excess paint off the plate, and I'm having trouble getting that golden open off the plate. So I found that interesting. That's just something to think about. It's different, which if you really love ghost prints is an awesome thing. And if you don't love ghost prints and you just want that thing to get cleaned off so you can move to the next thing, maybe you won't like it as much. So this one is one that's made out of styrofoam that I cut and scored with a stylus tool. It's a fun little stamp. It's one of the ones that I made specifically for this video. I already had some already made that I've made in the past, and then I made some new ones. And I maybe should have included the footage of me making the stamps out of styrofoam, but it's just cutting things out, and I thought that was boring, and I thought that that didn't seem like rocket science. So if you guys really need to see me making foam stamps, you can leave a comment in the description box below, and I will make some more and use them on my plate at some point. This one is the little flowers are fun foam stickers that I got at the dollar store, and literally just peel and stick them onto another piece of styrofoam meat tray. And then that other one with the keys, that was made for me by Mraz from YouTube. She's a viewer, and she sent me Happy Mail that had several interesting foam stamps that she had made herself. And so, and she seemed to have access to that thicker black foam I was talking about that Art Foamies makes their stamps out of. I don't know where she got that, but she kind of layered and she made really nice homemade stamps, not like my hot glued together ones that I make. But I want to get to I want to get it to the printing. I don't want to make stamps. I want to get to the printing. So the keys, the reverse and positive and negative ones were both made by her that she sent me. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. I think she also sent me a bird, but I didn't use that one in this video. My container of things that I use to make marks on the gel plate is getting really overflowing. I need to find a new new way to store and also sort all that stuff. So this one is one I made specifically for the video. I've been really attracted to this shape. You know, I'm always into circles and swirls, and certain shapes really attract certain people. But this one lately has been just really, I've been interested in it, and I'm going to call it a pod because it's not a teardrop, because it has a pointy end on both sides. And I think what it is a pod. Now, because this was golden open paint in the titanium white, it actually smeared a little bit when I put the next color because it wasn't dry. It's not ever going to dry, hardly. And I certainly am not going to wait for it to dry. So the print wasn't as crisp as I hoped, but that little pod was just made out of styrofoam meat tray. I like the shape. That branch one is also made out of styrofoam. I made it a long time ago though. So there's the pod print. This next one was one that I made because I was eating an orange. And I thought, what an interesting shape to print with. The shape of a sliced orange. Looks kind of like a wagon wheel, but it was supposed to be an orange. All I did was just cut that out using an X-Acto knife. And then I scored the center in with my stylus tool to try to make a little circle in the center. And I'm using orange colored paint, orange and yellow, to try to make this print look like even more like an orange. So I like how it turned out. So this is foam stamps, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you need more information about gel printing with foam, just leave me a comment in the description box below and I can talk about it some more. But otherwise, I think that this section is about done, and we're going to be seeing the close-ups and then moving on to hardware. Okay, so for the 26th prompt, it was things from the hardware store. And I had so much fun with this one. This one was fun. I didn't go to the hardware store. I just went to the garage and looked for things that came from the hardware store. And this one is a washer from the inside, like something you would replace on the inside of the toilet tank to keep the water. Sometimes they wear out. And that one also is from that same kit of repairing the inside of the toilet. There's so many interesting round shapes at the hardware store, things that, all kinds of washers and seals and all kinds of things. And also, of course, pipes, all kinds of pipes and all kinds of shapes and sizes. And, you could go through. This is just a piece of PVC that we had in the garage for repairing probably the watering system in the front yard or something. Just PVC pipe, cheap stuff, and you can find interesting textures and shapes everywhere at the home store. I mean, that's like what they have. So much interesting stuff. Maybe you don't even know what it's used for, but you just think it's an interesting pattern or shape or texture. I was looking for drywall tape because I know I have some somewhere in the house, but I couldn't find it. But it makes one of the best textures on a gel plate that you can imagine. So through this, I used a lot of the Pebeo metallic paint because it just seemed like metallic was the right thing for the hardware store. So I'm combining regular colors and then metallics like silver and gold and copper as I go. I thought, how fun would it be to print some tools? And I had this pair of pliers, and I thought, hey, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. And it was. I just thought it made a great print. So, you know, even if you don't go to the hardware or home store and look for stuff, you've got stuff around the house that will make interesting prints. Just go take a look. Look in your kitchen. Look in your garage for things that have interesting shapes and textures. So this time I put the silver Pebeo and the gold Pebeo over my little purple pliers print. It's just fun, just really fun. I went on a long time making these kind of prints using the things from the garage. I made a ton of them, a ton, because I was having so much fun. I just think that's great right there. That's great. And then that's a cleanup print right there of stuff that was left over from the washers and things. So then I decided to try to make some shapes using the tops of these screws and things that I have. Um, they have different tops, different sizes. Some of them have pluses on them, and some of them have just a straight minus shape. Um, just a random collection of screws. And I have washers too, which I think at some point I'll use. I don't know. They were in a glass jar in the garage. So I said, hey, I'm going to use them. So I'm using my 6x6 plate in this way as an ink pad kind of. So I put some ivory black on the 6x6, spread it out, and then dipped my screws into it and made marks onto the 12x12. So once they were fairly dry, then I went over them. And this is a Pebeo metallic paint again. It's red, blue, and green, blue, maybe, or maybe, I don't know. Either blue, green, or green, blue is the other side. And I didn't have quite enough over there. It wasn't coming up all the way to the edge, so I had to put some more paint on there because I'm printing these cardstock weighted pieces to make into an art journal. So they'll be folded in half and sewed in an art journal as signatures. So I want to make sure that they're printed all the way to the edge. And then that cleanup print was cool. Even though they were overlapping, it was still pretty neat. I probably made maybe 6 or 7 tags. And the way that I've been making the tags is just printing a section of them as I go. Usually I'm doing it because I'm cleaning up, but in this case I was intentionally doing tags. And that little screwdriver, I thought it would be interesting to roll it and make a texture that way, and it turned out cool too. Um, not using the point or the tip or anything like that, but just rolling it because it has an in and out, in and out, in and out handle. And it made an interesting texture, although it made a huge mess on my fingers. And of course I had to clean up the tools and put them back. But, you know, nobody knows. Nobody knows I got acrylic paint all over them. That cleanup print was beautiful. And it had some of that texture of the rolled screwdriver. So one thing I will caution you when you're using things from the hardware store like I am, these things, a lot of these things are made out of metal and they're sharp. Make sure that you're not putting the sharp parts on your plate. Didn't this turn out cool? This tag right here. Okay, pull it off. It's that neat with the printed pliers on it. It's just cool. So now I have this other foam stuff that's called Pen Score, and when you heat it up, it just feels foamy, but when you heat it up and press things into it, you can get a impression that becomes a stamp. So I just put the pile of my screws and things down on the table, and then I heated up the Pen Score and pressed it really firmly onto it to get the impression of it. And in that way I can use the sharper things because I didn't want to put like those screws onto my plate because I might damage it. So I use the tops of them because the tops are rounded, but I didn't want to put them on the sides like that. So I just made a stamp out of it instead, and it's really cool, and it'll be fun to make backgrounds for manly stuff, you know, screws and yeah, it's manly. Screws and washers and nails. I'm such a stereotype. So yeah, it made a fun fun foam stamp. That I don't just have to use it with the gel plate, I can just use it with ink as well. So I apparently if you reheat it, you can get rid of the impression and make do a something different with it. But I've never actually tried that. I've just been told that that works. I'm not going to try it. I like the one that I made, but these are just cleanup. I'm trying to clean up, and I'm getting some really cool prints. Crusty bits. Hashtag crusty bits. Got lots of crusty bits on my plate at the moment. Look at them. There's tons of them. So still playing with my pen score. That's the only piece of it I have. And I will look for it and find a place that you can purchase it and link it in the description box below the video. I just have to find it. I've had it for so long, I don't even know where it came from at this point. But it was the only piece I had that hadn't been impressed already. So this time I'm using black paper, black cardstock weight paper to pick up this print, and it turned out really cool, very dynamic. And then I think this is the last one. So for those of you who have noticed that we're out of order now, I kind of missed somewhere in the middle there with like 20, I don't know, 21 or I don't know. Anyway, there's a few days that I can't find the footage, so I'm going to have to redo them. So I skipped ahead to footage that I already had, and then I'll have to go back and redo the ones that I missed. So we're about 4 days. We skipped about 4 days, and we'll go back and do them later. Plus all the ones that I want to do, the things that I thought of, which I still haven't gotten to. So please remember to give this a thumbs up, leave me a comment below, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on your notifications, and share this video if you know someone who would like to watch it. Bye-bye.